Now, we've seen loads of reviews regarding the Z890 boards, and of course we used mostly, I think it was Intel Core Ultra 9 285K and Core Ultra 5 245K. Now, in this scenario, we have a completely different board. This is B860 Phantom Gaming Lightning Wi-Fi, or basically, to be precise, ASRock Phantom Gaming B860 Lightning Wi-Fi, which goes in play, and I tested it out with Intel Core Ultra 9 285K. Now, usually you would expect to go with a lower tier processor, but what happened here is quite interesting, and in fact I have a conclusion about this, because all the problems that I had with prior boards in Z890, regardless of the brand, basically doesn't exist with this one, because what I presume is the updated BIOS and everything all together, it just fixes everything and it gets nice, stable performance. And a bit better when you compare it to the past boards that I tested. So most likely all of those boards that I tested so far, if you do a BIOS update, you might get a stable performance from the processor, giving you quite nice and, well, stable usage in general, let's put it this way. But regardless of the Z890, we have B860 right here today, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it quite a lot. Hopefully not too much to bore you to death, but regardless of that, let's dive in. So compared to the Z890 boards, what we have right here is 14 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 power phase design. This kind of reminds me of those 14 nanometers plus or whatever it was. V-Core with DR MOS design, and we have 80 amperes DR MOS VCC GT and 80 amperes DR MOS VCCSA. 14 are of course V-Core. Now you have also quite cool features, what I really love from ASRock boards, and of course everybody else has them now. Toolless multi-layer M.2 heatsink, which means that you don't need a screwdriver to remove your heatsink for your M.2, at least for the top one. We have Thunderbolt 4 Type-C port with up to 40 gigabit per second speeds, and memory OC shield, which this absorbs EMI noise enhancing memory overclocking, which is outstanding, of course. Now, it supports Intel Core Ultra processors, LGA's 1851, B860 chipset, 4 sticks of DDR5 memories. We have one PCI 5.0 x 16 and one PCI 4.0 x 16. 7.1 channel HD audio Realtek ALC 1220 audio codec and HEMIC audio, Killer 2.5 G LAN, and Killer 802.11ac Wi-Fi 6E plus Bluetooth. Form factor is standard ATX, so we don't have to go too much into details regarding that. Additional to that, 20K caps, blazing M.2 PCI Gen 5 x 4. Now, if we go a bit deeper in details, you have dual channel DDR5, server grade low loss PCB, flexible integrated I/O shield. Regarding the M.2 sockets, we have one which has that multi-layer quick release or toolless multi-layer heatsink. Then we have one right beneath the battery which doesn't have the heatsink, and two additional ones which do have a heatsink, but you have to remove two screws to get the access. Those are PCI Gen 4 x 2. We have two on copper inner layer. DDR5 support XMP and Expo with clock speed up to 8933 megahertz. I'm going to get to the point which ones I used in these benchmarks. Graphic card light release, which means that you just have to push it while you're removing the graphic card. You don't have to do literally anything while placing the GPU. And regarding the connections, we have two 8-pin EPS connector for the CPU, one 24-pin. Later we have, basically that's it when we're talking about the power. Then when we go with the I/O ports, so what we have at rear panel is two antenna ports, one HDMI port, one DisplayPort 1.4, one optical SPDIF out port, one Thunderbolt 4 Type-C port, which is, as I stated, 40 gigabit per second, 4 USB 4 protocol, and 4 Thunderbolt protocol as well. Two USB 3.2 Generation 2 Type-A ports, 10 gigabit per second, 4 USB 3.2 Generation 1 ports, which also support Ultra USB power. Then we go with 3 USB 2.0 ports, one RJ45 LAN port, one BIOS flashback button, one gold line out jack, and one gold microphone input jack. Basically, that's it. There's not much to go, except maybe we could go with addressable RGB headers, PWM, but it's really straightforward. You can check out all of that from the pictures and the close-ups. Regarding the heatsink design on the VRMs, I mean, it's 14 plus 1 plus 1, so you don't have to worry about heating it up in those terms, because as per usual, ASRock, what they do is they placed all those XXL heatsinks that really cover up nicely the VRM, so you don't have to worry about that. In general, this board is, I would say, low tier from the Z890, but with the BIOS update and everything all together, you really do get quite nice performance for the price. And we're going to get to that quite soon. So bear with me. We're going with AIDA64 Extreme Edition System Stability Test. And I'm comparing here the thermals for the Intel Core Ultra 9 285K. The B860 Phantom Gaming Lightning goes at 66 degrees. You can see all other boards here, 73, 74, 80, 80. As I said, in this scenario, when we're talking about thermals, it also depends on the cooler, but in general, 99% I was using 360 AIO. Then when we go with clock speed, it matches MSI MPG Z890 Carbon Wi-Fi and MAG Z890 Tomahawk Wi-Fi with 5400 MHz. Then Cinebench R23, average of 10 runs. What we have right here is that the thermals on the Carbon Wi-Fi go at 70.4, and the B860 Phantom Gaming Wi-Fi 73.7. With clock speeds going at actually the highest, 5400 megahertz. Everything else was 5390, 5380, 5380, that's it. Yeah, quite obvious that it kind of pushes it quite nicely. And then, of course, the score, which is the most important. And this is where I said that this board must have the latest BIOS. The Cinebench scores, average of 10 runs, 41,448. The next in line was Z890 Live Mixer Wi-Fi with 40,451, and then we have the rest. Then we go with AES cryptography. We have 251.8, but it's a such small margin between the Z890 Tomahawk and the B860 Phantom Gaming Wi-Fi that it's totally irrelevant. Corona 10, now this is interesting. When we check out the rays per second for individual board, the B860 Phantom Gaming Wi-Fi has 13.6 million rays per second, while the next in line is the Steel Legend Z890 with 12.7 million rays per second. Corona 1.3, it's quite a shocker because it finishes the render time in 44 seconds. Behind that is the Z890 Carbon with 45 seconds. Indigo benchmark, we have, of course, bedroom, we have 3.5 million samples per second for the B860. Next in line is Z890 Carbon with 3.370 million samples per second. And we have to go with Supercar as well, 8.916 million samples per second compared to the Carbon one, which is 8.720 million samples per second. In Geekbench single thread score, the Carbon takes the win with 3273, and where we can find the B860 is in the last position with 3103. Multi-thread score with Geekbench 6, Z890 Tomahawk takes the win with 23,425, and well, the B860 is again at the last position with 20,268. Jetstream 2 web browsing, what we get here with the B860 PG Wi-Fi, 330,138. Now, unfortunately, here I don't have that much of the same boards. I do have one which is 302,138, and that's on 4th position, but I can't remember, I couldn't find the exact board what it was used. Most likely the Z890 Carbon, but not quite sure. And then you can see here the comparison to other processors and how much this board gives the boost with the new BIOS update and everything all together. So 4900K is by 24,000 points below, and 9800 X3D is somewhere around that 25,000 points below. PC Mark 10. Now, right here, we have so many information to go through. But what you can see here is that the overall score is way above on the first position. And you can see in general, it takes either the second place or it pushes up the first place with essentials, application startup, video conferencing, web browsing, and all of this in PC Mark 10 really doing a great job. And Now I'm quite curious what will do the BIOS update on the other board. Then we go with TimeSpy and TimeSpy Extreme. B860 Phantom Gaming Wi-Fi takes out the quite nice jump when we're talking about scores in general, because you can see the 4,000 difference in time spy. The CPU score is by 1,000 upwards, well 700 to be precise. Time spy extreme is 1,100, and then we have the CPU score for time spy extreme, which is about 700 again. But then we go with Firestrike. Firestrike also goes in advance with like 2,000 points. For the physics score, we have 1,000, yeah, 1,000 in advance compared to the Z890 Carbon and Live Mixer Wi-Fi. But then we go with combined score, which is a bit lower, and this might be because of the graphic card in general. So yeah, take that into consideration. Firestrike Extreme, again, we have the overall score by 2,000 points. Then we have the physics score, which is really going high for 7,000 points upwards. And then the combined score is actually this time higher than all of the boards mentioned here in the graph, for 400 at least. Finally, we have the Firestrike Ultra. Now, the Firestrike Ultra takes advantage for 600 points. In general, physics score is quite close, and even the Z890 Live Mixer takes the win for this one. Combined score is third place, but I would say that's quite alright for a B860, and I can't complain on that. I think that's quite outstanding. And then we go with 3D Mark CPU profile, which goes quite nicely in general on, let's say, fourth position, something like that. Because we do have Z890 Carbon going quite high, but it eventually, when you lower it down with the threads, so 16, 8, 4, 2, and 1, it kind of levels up, which is, again, quite solid. And finally, what we have to go through, what I actually forgot at the beginning, we have Intel Core Ultra 9285K, you already know that. Then we have Valkyr A360 Black. This is the V version here in the video, what you see, but I used A360 Black. Then we have Kingston Fury Renegade RGB DDR5 2 times 16 gigs at 8,000 megahertz and Kingston KC3000 4 terabytes. AIDA64 cache and memory benchmark. Read speeds 122.55 gigabits per second. This takes the first position. In general, of all DDR5 memories that I tested, write speeds 101,406 megabytes per second takes the third position, but I think that's still outstanding. Copies 106.57 gigabytes per second, fourth position. Bits lower than the other benchmark, I do have to admit that, but it doesn't matter. And latency 79.2 nanoseconds, which is a bit higher. I didn't expect that, but quite alright. And basically the speeds for the SSD Gen 4, there's no need to mention that because the speeds are there. Regarding the Crystal Disk Mark, it goes around 7,200, 7,400, something like that. Read speeds, write speeds, somewhere close to 7,000, which is regular. Let's put it this way. I didn't have Gen 5 at the moment to test it out, but I don't see we would notice any difference regarding that. What I can say is that the new B860 Lightning Wi-Fi from ASRock is quite solid. It performs outstandingly good, and I'm quite satisfied with everything what it does, because I think since this came later after the Z890, the BIOS and everything they did with this board, it really does perform quite nicely. And I'm just quite curious, if I place the 285K on any of those mentioned Z890 boards, will they surpass the B860 and giving you more performance for that price, because you are paying a bit higher for the Z890 in general than compared to the B860. But if you're looking for something that is in the budget range, looks really good, I do have to say. And I mean, check out the RGB. I mean, I left it on the RGB. It's a motherboard, so it doesn't matter when we're talking about the full build concept and the aesthetics and everything all together. But I wanted to leave the RGB just so you can see how it lights up, which parts lights up, and yeah. Of course, ASRock Polychrome Sync can synchronize everything. If you're having troubles with RAMs, if you're going with Kingston Fury, for instance, you could go with Fury Control software that you can download directly from their website, or you can use Signal RGB that groups everything and just use that to organize your color scheme of the build. In general, I'm quite satisfied with this board. I am shocked. I didn't expect it to be this good in those terms, but as I stated, it came much later, released much later than the Z890 and in general Intel Core Ultra 9 285K and that platform, so to say. So I think that kind of solved some issues that was in that sense back then what I mentioned in the actual review for the processor. So yeah, thumbs up. This was quite interesting. I do have to admit that. So if you're interested in this type of combination where you go with a ASRock Phantom Gaming B860 Lightning Wi-Fi motherboard paired up with Intel Core Ultra 9 285K, why not? You have a quite solid performer when we're talking about processor, not in terms of what we expected from the generational gap and the performance boost comparing to 14th generation of Intel Core processors, but in general it's quite solid when we're talking about that. I still stand by everything what I stated in that review. And you can go with this quite solid board. Performance is there. It outperforms Z890 without the BIOS update. I think that's quite solid. Yeah, I think that's it. So the links are in the description. And if this video helped you out to save up some cash on the motherboard at least and still get quite solid performance, again, I'm saying that performance too much in this video. But don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell, and I'll see you soon in another one. Bye bye.